Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Delaney, and for today's video, I'm so sorry that my voice is nasally. I am not feeling the greatest. I have a little bit of a cold, nothing crazy, but I have a lot of congestion and plus allergies. So yeah, I'm having a fun time over here. So likely you've seen the title, and this is my declutter and collection video for my eyeshadow palettes. Now I had to separate these into categories because I have so many palettes. It's gonna take forever to get through them all. If I did them all at once, the video would just never end. And eyeshadow palettes are my one real splurge thing, and I love all of them in different ways. But I do know there is some room for some curation in my collection. So this video, obviously from the title, you can see this is my drugstore palettes or my affordable palettes. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the collection and declutter video. All right, so diving right in, we have a bunch of different brands to choose from today, but the drugstore category is actually the smallest one in my eyeshadow palette collection. So yeah, I just want to say there are some good formulas that are affordable, but actual, like, real true drugstore brands, I haven't tried a lot of eyeshadow palettes from, just because I have not heard the greatest things about their formulas. Recently they have been starting to step it up, but especially in the past, I've kind of steered clear of the drugstore eyeshadow palettes, just because if I'm gonna spend the money on an eyeshadow palette, I want it to be something that I am just fully in love with, and the drugstore just never really truly caught my eye until recently. So that's why this category is the smallest, and I am including Juvia's Place in here as well as Colourpop because they are more affordable brands. Also Pixi and Winky Lux, anything that could be found at Target or the Ulta affordable section. So let's dive in. I'm talking a lot. Let's get on with it. So first up, I'm just gonna go ahead in random order. There's no true order to this other than I'm gonna keep the brands lumped together because I feel like it would make it go faster. So first up, we have Winky Lux. This is my only Winky Lux palette, and I apologize for my nails. My nails are not looking cute right now, but I'm sorry. Again, I'm not feeling that great. I don't feel like getting my nails done or doing my nails, so that's that. But this is from Winky Lux. This is the Coffee Kitten palette. Here is what the inside looks like. I'm gonna try not to blind you with the mirror here, but it's a beautiful neutral color scheme. The formula of this is incredible. I actually really love the formula. I thought that I wouldn't, but it kind of grew on me a little bit. If you're looking for some blinding shimmer shades that are super different, this is not it. But if you're looking for a neutral palette that you can easily wear every day and get a beautiful airbrushed look, this is it. It also smells like coffee, which is an added bonus. It's not like a sickly smell, because sometimes fragrances added to palettes don't always smell the greatest, but this smells really good. Normally I kind of stick with these two shimmers and all the mattes. So I am keeping this palette. It comes with a mirror. I love the packaging. This is my only eyeshadow palette from Winky Lux, so I'm definitely going to keep it in my collection because I really do enjoy the formula. But it is a little bit expensive. I got this on sale, so I definitely would not pay full price for this, but on sale, I highly recommend. Let's talk about some e.l.f. real quick. So starting off with the bite-size palettes, I have 3 of them. And these are not my favorite formula ever. I don't know what it is about them. Other people seem to like them a lot more than I do. I can get an okay look out of them. It's not the problem. It's just they're not my favorite palettes to reach for. They're just on the dry side, and even the shimmer formulas, they take a lot of building, and maybe it's just my batch. People rave about these. I don't understand why people rave about them, but I don't know. It's just not my thing. And this mint one, I thought this was going to be amazing, but it's really just okay. And if I'm going to be reaching for a colorful palette, it's going to be a lot more pigmented than this one. So I think out of the 3, I'm going to declutter this one. This one's also limited edition. I don't know how long they're going to keep this around, if they even do still have it around. So I think this one is going to go into the declutter pile. These shimmers look beautiful on camera, but in person, they're just really dry. like especially this green one, this one right here. It's just really dry, and it was really hard to build up these mattes, and it really did not get an intense look out of it. It was an okay look, but it was not my favorite. I actually have a video using the Mint Melt collection. If you'd like to see that, just go ahead and search it on my channel, or I can link it in the cards for you. But this one's going to be decluttered. And so that one was in Mint to Be, and they had another one that was a mint one, but it was a neutral and mint. And some people seem to think that that one was a little bit better. So if you are interested in the mint one, I would go check that one out. So this one is in Cream and Sugar, and it's just a neutral browns color scheme. This one I'm going to keep just because it kind of reminds me of the Natasha Denona Mini Neutral. Is that what it's called? Mini Nude, yeah. The Mini Nudes palette from Natasha Denona. The formula is nowhere near that, I'm just gonna say it. This is a $3 palette though, and the color scheme is very similar, so I like that you can get a similar color scheme to one of my favorite palettes for $3. And then this one is a mauve rose toned kind of palette. The one thing I don't like is that this deeper matte has shimmer in it. I don't like that at all. I like a mid-tone matte and a deeper matte to deepen things up. You can get it to where it doesn't show up, but it's just a little bit of extra work. But these shimmers seem to work better than the mint one, so I think I'm gonna keep this one for a little while longer. It might be on the list of declutter next time, but I'm okay to keep both of these around for now. So I'm gonna declutter this mint one and keep these two. Next up from e.l.f., this is my last palette from them. This is the e.l.f. X Chipotle eyeshadow palette. Now, this is limited edition, but I love it, so I'm not getting rid of it. This is beautiful. It has neutrals, it has greens, it has plum kind of pinky shade in here. It's kind of a duochrome kind of shade. It's really interesting for an e.l.f. palette to have, but I love golds, I love greens, I love these neutral shades. You can deepen it up with this matte right here, and you have another kind of duochrome-y kind of shade in here. I love that it looks like Chipotle. I absolutely love Chipotle. So yeah, the quality of this is 10 million times better than the bite size palettes. So this is amazing. The shimmer shades are super pigmented and they go on really smooth and really look great on the lid. These shades are not my favorite. They're kind of satin, these two right here, but the glitters, the glittery shimmer shades are beautiful. And the mattes are super blendable and pigmented. So I love that it comes with a mirror. I love the theming of this palette. It is limited edition, so it's going to be hard to get my hands on if I do declutter it, so I am absolutely keeping. Next up, I have one palette from Flower Beauty. This one is very, very similar in color story to the Bite Size palette from e.l.f. So here is the Cream and Sugar palette from e.l.f., and here is the Flower Beauty one. They're almost identical. They really are. They both have 4 shades. They both have a lighter shimmer, a copper shimmer that's a little bit more gold leaning, and then they have the 2 matte shades. So really, color story wise, if you're looking for this, get the bite size one. I will say I do like the formula of the Flower Beauty a bit better than this one, but this one's more powdery, and the shimmer shades do take a bit of building, but this shimmer is much better in my opinion than the one in here, or both of them in here. I'll show you a comparison. So this one is the Flower Beauty and this one is the Bite Size one. They look kind of similar. The Flower Beauty one just has a little bit more glitz to it, so I prefer this one, but it also is much more expensive. This one is at CVS. I am not sure exactly how much it retails for. I will pop that up on the screen, but the Bite Size one is definitely cheaper. So if you don't want the price tag of the Flower Beauty, I would go with the Bite Size Cream and Sugar. But with that said, this is my only palette from Flower Beauty, and I really like the formula. I don't really love this shade right here, but it's a beautiful inner corner highlight, or I even can just use it on my lid if I don't really want a super glittery shade, but let's be honest, when does that happen? I know, welcome to my channel. If you notice, my Instagram handle is always add glitter. So yeah, that doesn't happen very often, but the mattes are beautiful and this shade is beautiful, so I want to keep it. And I'm glad to have tried it. I want to try more from Flower Beauty. I've been impressed with their stuff so far. And this color story is in Petal Play. So if you've tried this, let me know. What other color stories should I try? So this one is a keeper. So next up, we have one palette from Pop Beauty. And this is actually a sister brand, I believe, to Pixi. And I am on their PR list. So just as a heads up, I did receive this in PR. But, so most of the palettes in here I did purchase myself. But there are a few exceptions, and I will let you know which ones those are. This one is in Fire Fit, and it is one of their light show palettes. It has 2 pressed glitters in here, and then it has some shimmer shades, and it has some matte shades as well. Their matte shades are kind of a satin kind of feel, but they go on as matte. There's really no shimmer to them. Obviously, the shimmers are a little bit more metallic. And then your pressed glitters, these are actually really nice pressed glitters. They're very wet and actually have a sticky base, and they're beautiful. But sadly, I just don't reach for pressed glitters a ton. But when I do, these are actually a beautiful option, especially that shade. I love it. So this is the only palette I have from Pop Beauty. I'm going to keep it, but I will say that this is not my favorite formula. I have a few Pixi palettes coming up, and I will say I like the Pixi eyeshadow formula better than the Pop Beauty one. This one is at CVS, so if you're interested in it, go check that out. But the shimmer shades are actually really beautiful. I don't know, like I can get a good look out of this, but it's not something that I'm gonna reach for 100% of the time. And for some reason, this shade here, it didn't do exactly what I thought. It's a little bit on the chalky side. I thought it was going to be something really interesting with this kind of tie-dye ripple effect, but it just didn't look like that on the eye. It didn't even swirl together and give a lot of glitter. It just kind of shows up like that. I'm going to keep it for now, but if I don't get too much use out of it, I'm going to declutter it. I did get this in PR. I'm very grateful that I did. I actually do like a lot of things about this palette, but sadly, it's just not one of my most used. So we're going to give it one more shot, and if I don't use it again this year, I'm going to declutter it. But yeah, I'm going to keep this for now. Since we're on the topic of Pixi, I'm just going to go ahead and keep going with that. So I have 3 different palettes from Pixi. I do like their formula for eyeshadow, but again, it's not my favorite of all time. I think in Pixi's case, the mattes are actually better than the shimmers. I'm 100% going to be keeping this Pixi and Tina Yang collaboration. This is a beautiful palette. I've used this a couple times now, and I've gotten a lot of compliments on the look. I don't know what it is about these, but I like this formula better than the ones in here. I don't know what it is. It's just, I like having all of these different shades, the pop of blue, the pop of the warm tone neutrals. I think this is a very nicely curated palette. And I like that you can see all the shades in here. And yeah, I'm definitely going to keep this one. I love that it's a collaboration as well. So congratulations, Tina Yang, for the collaboration. I am so happy to have received this in PR. I also received these 2 as well from Pixi, but this one is a keeper. Now, these 2 palettes are the Eye Effects palettes, and they're in Hazelnut Haze, which is this one, and Rosette Ray. Now, I don't think I need both of them, so I'm gonna pick one to declutter. I do like keeping one of them on hand. So I think since the other one had more warm toned neutrals, I'm going to actually keep this pinky mauvey one. I think that would probably be a little bit better. I don't know, because all of these shades pretty much can be found in this palette. So, do I want to keep all of them? So let me show you the shimmer. Yeah, that green is just not my favorite. It's hard to build. That one's a little bit better. I don't know. These are just a little hard. I think I'm gonna declutter both of these because I don't think I need them, and I think that my friend will get a lot more use out of them. It's not that I don't like the palettes, it's just that this big palette here has all the colors of these plus more, and these are just more compact, which is nice, but if I reach for a compact palette, it's probably not going to be these two. So I think I'm going to actually declutter both of these, and yes, I did receive these in PR. I am 100% aware of that, and I am so grateful for Pixi. There are so many things that I receive from Pixi that I love. I love, 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 love. Their Glow Tonic, amazing. Their Fairy Lights shadows, amazing. These two palettes in particular, not my favorite. The face palettes, I loved, but these are just not my favorite. So I'm definitely gonna keep this one because I love it, and I've used it so much. But the IFX ones in Hazelnut Haze and Rosette Ray are going to be decluttered. I'm sorry. So that is it for Pixi. Now, moving on, I just want to say, like, if I receive a product in PR, I'm absolutely not going to sell it or anything. I am going to gift it to a friend who is going to use it. It is not, I already have things lined up, so just as a heads up, don't ask for anything, please. I already have homes for these things, so yeah, don't make it awkward, please. But next up, we have, let's do a little bit of a change up here. So these are two palettes that I know I'm not going to get rid of, just as a heads up, but I did want to show you them. They're relatively new in my collection. These are from LA Girl. These are incredible. So the one palette that started it all was this one. This is the Keep It Playful palette in Playmate, and these are $10. The packaging looks like Huda Beauty, and I actually like this better than Huda Beauty. Sorry about it, but these are so good. The shimmers in here are incredible. The mattes are really powdery, but they are stunning. They last all day. They're super blendable. If you can see the pans in here, I mean, like, I really dug into these shadows. I've used this so much, especially this shade here, which is one of the most absolutely incredible drugstore shimmer shades I've ever seen. I mean, this is one of my top favorite shimmer shades of high-end and drugstore. That's how good these are. So those high intensity foiled shadows, there's only one of them in this palette, but these shimmers are also very beautiful and I get use out of them. So it's not just this shimmer, but that's the one I reach for the most because it is the most intense. But I love every single shade in here. It's gorgeous. This is never leaving my collection until I cannot use it anymore physically, till it gets old and expires. So keeping this. This one is also relatively new to me. This is the Heihei Vacay in Good Times and Tan Lines. This is so beautiful. It's a neutral palette with a pop of blue. Sorry about it, but I love it. This is gorgeous. It has another foiled shadow in here. This one's also pretty intense. This is a beautiful blue shimmer shade. It's kind of like a blue-green kind of shift. Gorgeous shade. Then you have this peachy shimmer that goes all over the lid. Beautiful. More mauve tones. You got your cream matte shade to set the lid. At least in my case, you have some transition shades that are a little deeper on the bottom. The one thing I will say is you cannot get a lot of intensity out of the eye look. No, not a lot of drama because there's no real deep matte. The deepest matte is this corner shade here. But for these summery looks, I'm not always looking for drama, so that's not always an issue. And this pop of blue is beautiful. I actually really love these blue shades in here, and I love this white shade for an inner corner. I get a ton of use out of these, especially this last row, especially during the summer. And these peaches and the pinks, I'm head over heels. This shade here is one of those foiled shades, and it is so pretty. I mean, come on. Absolutely beautiful. If I did not tell you, you'd say maybe that's a Natasha Denona shimmer. So this is a keep. Their eyeshadow formula is incredible. I have one palette that I wasn't sure where to put it. There's one more palette that I own that's from this brand, and I don't know where it is at the moment in my move. I can't find it, but I do have it, and it's the Morphe James Charles palette. I will pop it up on the screen for you right here. I am decluttering this palette. First of all, it was one of my first palettes that I've ever gotten, and it's old. some of the shades don't perform as well as they used to. So that's the reason, number one, I'm decluttering it. Second of all, it's a rainbow palette and it's way too big for me to use on a daily basis and carry around traveling and stuff like that. Third of all, James Charles, I'm trying to keep my life positive right now and I don't need any kind of negativity, and I don't even want to use the palette really. I'm just kind of done with it. So that's another reason. I did enjoy the palette for a while. I did. It was one of the first palettes I had. It really brought out my creativity. I did so many of my original looks with that palette. So I'm not gonna knock that. It really did help me as an artist, and I wanna give it that credit. I just really don't like the Morphe eyeshadow formula. I don't really like the brand in general as much. I've heard people like a bunch of things from it, but I'm just not, I don't know, I'm not about it. I do have one other palette from Morphe, and this is the Mandy MUA Glam palette. And I got this in a BoxyCharm. I would never purchase this on my own. I like Mandy, I do. That's not the problem. This is just not my color scheme. It's a boring, basic palette, and it's Morphe. If I were to purchase a Morphe palette, it would have to be something very, very different. This is not it. This is a boring neutral palette, which there's nothing wrong with a neutral palette. I like a lot of neutral palettes, as you can probably tell from my collection. But I don't like the formula. I don't like that there are two face shades in here. It's fun on a budget, and I guess if you travel a lot and you really enjoy all these shades, it's good. And it does come with a mirror. This is just not my favorite, and I touched it like once or twice and didn't want to use it anymore. So this is going to have a new home. This one is getting decluttered. Next up, we have BH Cosmetics, and I have 3 palettes from them. Number 1, this was my first BH Cosmetics palette. This is the Take Me Back to Brazil palette. It does have a mirror. It has a ton of shades in here and small pans, which I actually like. As rainbow palettes go, I have a lot in my collection now. This was one of my first palettes that I did get. And the formula is just not my favorite. They take a lot to build, and you need a really good primer. That's just what I'm gonna say. So, because this is not my favorite formula, and it's just a lot of shades, and I'm not gonna be reaching for it very often, this one's gonna be decluttered. Now, if you watch Angelica Nyqvist's channel, you will know she's in love with BH Cosmetics. And she says that there's a really good formula, and then there's an okay formula. And it happened around a certain point in BH's history, and I'm not sure what that point is, but I feel like this palette was before the really good formula came in. This is their Hangin in Hawaii, but the original packaging, I think they re-released it in new packaging. I actually do like this palette. You know, I might actually have to get more use out of it. Oh, I might actually. I think I just changed my mind because these shimmers. I think the mattes were what the problem was. They're okay, they're nothing crazy, but the shimmers in here are actually really good. So it's a very boring neutral palette, but I think I'm actually gonna give it one more shot because the shimmers really took my breath away. I forgot how beautiful their shimmer formula was, so yeah, I'm gonna keep this. I just changed my mind again, but you know what? I'm gonna keep it. This is my newest BH Cosmetics palette, and this is the Do Not Disturb palette. Here's what the color story looks like on the inside. I am absolutely keeping it. This palette is incredible. This formula is amazing. The mattes, super pigmented, especially these purples. It's hard to find a good purple shadow, and these are intense and beautiful. The blue shadows work really well as well. I like that you get a mid-tone and a deep for the purples and the blues, and you can also go more navy, or you can also go more burgundy if you want. This shade here is slammin'. It's just like wet diamonds. It's beautiful. And this blue especially, and this purple, they're kind of that same shimmery formula that are just high shine glitter. I love it. For a 9-pan palette, this is one of the most beautiful 9-pan palettes in my collection. I think this is curated so beautifully. I wouldn't change a thing about this palette. I really do love it. And it's that new, beautiful, improved BH Cosmetics formula. that I actually really like and I want to try more of. So this one's a keep. We are nearing the end of the Drugstore palettes, so I actually have 2 brands left, but they're the ones that I have the most palettes from. So first up is Juvia's Place. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I really don't know if I want to declutter any of them. I actually really like these. So here is the Violets. This is their 6-pan series. I will say the one thing about this palette is there are 4 shimmers and 2 mattes. I kind of wish there were 3 mattes and 2 shimmers. Like maybe make this tone a matte, like a little bit brighter than this, just to kind of round it out with the mattes, just because I love their matte formula. It's so pigmented, so beautiful. I need more of it. Their shimmers are beautiful, but their shimmers are not what I reach into their palettes for. So it's mostly the mattes, the beautiful colors in these palettes. So their formula is a little bit more dry. It's still pigmented, it's still beautiful, but it's not really glittery. It's more metallic. So if you like that, then wonderful. This might be for you. But if you want some high glitter kind of shimmers, maybe this palette in particular is not for you. But I love the looks I get from this. It's so unique. The way this comes off on my eyes, it's almost like a periwinkle blue. I know it says violets, but it almost looks blue purple on my eyes, and I really like that. So I'm gonna keep this. It's very unique in my collection. Next up is the taupes. This one, if I were to declutter one, may be the one. But this shade kind of saves the day. It's super glittery and beautiful. I love it. And it's a neutral palette from Juvia's Place, and I actually really like it. The one thing that I will say is that I can't deepen up the look very much. I can pretty much get just one tone out of here. I can either go the cool toned route or the kind of neutral route, and that's it. I can't really get an intense deep look, but the shimmers in here are some of my favorite Juvia's Place shimmers. They're really gorgeous, especially obviously that glittery shade. So I think I'm going to keep this, even though it's probably my least reach for out of my Juvia's Place palettes. I'm gonna keep it. This one is staying in my collection forever. This is the Berries palette from Juvia's Place, obviously. And there's a duochrome in here that's gorgeous. I love when drugstore brands have a duochrome. I mean, look at that. That is just intense. For a drugstore palette, I mean, come on. Really? It goes orange to red berry tone. So pretty. The mattes are gorgeous. The one thing, I keep saying the one thing I'll say. Well, one critique I have of this palette is that these 2 shades are very, very, very similar. This one's a little bit more purpley, and this one's a little bit more berry. Like this one's slightly deeper than this one. But they kind of come off similarly on the eye. I kind of wish in this case that it was 3 mattes, 3 shimmers, just like that other palette was 4 shimmers. This one's 4 mattes instead. This one is a matte shade with a little bit of glitter in it, but it comes off as a matte shade. I think it's just to help the pigment a little bit and help it blend. But I kind of wish that this was actually one of the deeper ones. I wish one of the deeper ones was a shimmer, or maybe that there was a very light berry pink in here, or maybe like a duochrome pink to white in here. I feel like that would be a cool lid shade for this kind of a look. I don't know. I still really love this palette, so I'm not getting rid of it, but obviously I can still critique a palette even though I'm gonna keep it. Something about berry eyeshadow makes my green eyes pop, and I love it. The mauves. This one is kind of like the taupes palette, which it's being saved by pretty much one shade, and that's this super glittery pink right here. It's gorgeous. I mean, look at her. She's gorgeous. We love her. The mattes, these 2 end up looking pretty similar, kind of like the other one. These 2 end up looking kind of similar. So maybe, like I said, having this be like a light pink, maybe a mid-tone pink, and then one of the deeper ones, preferably this one, make this a shimmer shade. This one's pretty too, I just don't end up reaching for it as much. It's more of the metallic kind of, and it's not as intense as this shade here, but I still love it, and I'm still gonna keep it. Cause yeah, I love Juvia's Place formula, and it's not going anywhere. This one was my first Juvia's Place palette that I bought, and I still really enjoy it. I will say the pans are huge. You get so much product in here. The color story is basic and neutral, but we love a basic neutral palette. I mean, come on. We all gotta love those. There's a place for them in every collection. So these shimmers are not the hyper glittery ones, but they are stunning. They're super creamy, really beautiful on the eyes, and especially if you have mature lids, I feel like this palette in particular would be beautiful because of these shimmers. These shimmers are more metallic, kind of satiny metallic than glittery, and I feel like for mature lids that would work out really well. And then you have the light shade in here to blend out and to set the lid. You have a mid-tone brown shade for the crease, and to deepen it up and really get some intensity, you have this dark matte, and then you have these shimmers to kind of play with some tones on the lid and really change up the look. It's a very well curated palette, and I really do enjoy it. So this palette is not going anywhere. Like I said, I don't think I'm decluttering any Juvia's Place palettes, I'm sorry. And this one, last but not least, is the Walhalla 2 palette. And again, not going anywhere. This is beautiful. This is my most colorful palette from Juvia's Place. It's gorgeous. It does have pressed glitters in there, so if you don't like that, then maybe this one isn't the one for you. But this shade here is a multi-chrome. Oh my god, it is the coolest shade ever in a Juvia's Place palette. I mean, it just transforms any look. It's glittery, it's beautiful, it's a multi-chrome in a Juvia's Place palette. This is an affordable palette, and it's in here. It's gorgeous. You have some pinks, you have some oranges, some teals, some of the blue colors. The Fury and Wicked shade come off kind of similar on the eyes, and then the Dream, they kind of are very similar, but you can use them with any of these other colors and amp it up. The glitters in here are really gorgeous. I love how they apply on the eyes. It has a super sticky base, so it feels like it's really not going anywhere. Look at that shine. It's not even wanting to focus. It looks like a disco ball on my hand. It's gorgeous. They are chunkier glitters, so don't let them get in your eye. If you're not comfortable with having a chunky glitter on your eye, do not try it. But I love teals, I love oranges, I love pinks. They have some neutral browns in here if you really want to ground a look. And you have these bright white shades as a highlight shade. You can really go a bunch of different ways in this palette. And the fact that you get a multi-chrome in this kind of a palette for this price is amazing. So I'm not going to declutter this, at least not this time. So pretty. Look at this shade. Come on. I mean, come on. It's so pretty. Yeah. I'm keeping it. And these shades are super glittery. They have some glittery shades. They have some metallic shades. I mean, this shade right here, I'm sorry for swatching, but I just kind of have to. I mean, super just beautiful. I can't. This one's a keeper. Sorry about it. Next up is Colourpop. So let me just say, I love Colourpop's formula. It's just about the color story at this point. Some of them are a little bit better quality than others, but for the most part, Colourpop does have good quality shadows. So I'm not gonna knock the quality in here, but some of the color schemes I do like and reach for more than others, and that's pretty much what's going to realistically influence my declutter. So starting with this one, this is my first Colourpop palette ever. This is the Fame palette, and this is gorgeous. To this day, it still works. I don't have a problem with it at all. It's a little bit on the dry side though. Dang it. I didn't think I was ready to let go of this one yet. It's beautiful, it's neutral, but there are so many palettes from Colourpop now that you can get this kind of a color scheme, and this is just so old, I really should declutter it. But from the look of it, you can see how much I've used it. These shimmers, yeah, they're a little dry. They've kind of lost their shine a little bit, but in their prime, they were so good. This black shade I used as a liner. These matte shades were just used all the time. These are brush imprints, obviously, but I think it's actually time to get rid of this. I didn't think I was ready, but I don't know. Seeing these and touching it and feeling it, I haven't reached for this in so long. I have so many neutral palettes that I reach for now. It's time to say goodbye to this one. That's really sad. But yeah, if they re-release this one, I might actually get it. But it's beautiful. I really did love it. I got a lot of good use out of it, but it's time to go. I'm sorry. All right, next up is the Sweet Talk palette. This one, I was heavily influenced to buy this from Samantha March. She raved about the Sweet Talk palette over and over and over again on her channel. She was right. It's a beautiful palette. If you like peachy tones, this is for you. It has a Super Shock shadow in the palette, which just, come on, look at that shine. It's absolutely gorgeous. Even for being the age it is, it's not a new palette. This is an older palette. This is one of my oldest ones. But it's beautiful. And I actually still do reach for it from time to time. So I'm going to keep this one for now. Eventually, I'm going to declutter it, but it still works really well. Let me see about the mattes. They are a little bit on the dry side. You know what? I will give this one more shot. One more try, and I might have to declutter it after that, but I can't bring myself to get rid of it just yet. It's just too pretty. So this is a keep. This is one of my older ones as well. So this is the Yes Please palette, and I never reach for this one anymore. It's super dirty. I actually did get some good use out of it, but the yellows, the warm tone neutrals, if I'm going to be reaching into a palette like this, it's going to be the Natasha Denona Sunset palette, or the Sunrise. Whatever the mid-size one is, the $65 one, I'll pop it up on the screen for you. You'll see it in my next video most likely, but it only has a couple shimmers in here and they're very lackluster. So this one's kind of an easy declutter. I don't know. I like the mattes in here, but if I'm going to reach for something like this, it's going to be the Natasha Denona formula. So it's also an older palette. So I'm going to say goodbye to this one. I don't even think this is available anymore, so I don't want to use it in a video and y'all not be able to use it. Alrighty, so next, I believe this one is the next oldest, but it actually came into my collection after some of my other ones. But this is from Kathleen Light's ex Colourpop. This is the Zodiac palette. It has a beautiful mirror in here. This Pisces shade is the savior of this palette. I don't reach for it except for the shade. It's so beautiful. It looks like a Super Shock shadow in a palette. Really gorgeous, but it's the only shade I reach for in here. But just like the Sweet Talk palette, I can't quite bring myself to declutter this yet. I'm going to keep it one more round. And if it doesn't work and I don't declutter it, or if I don't touch this in the next round, I'm going to say goodbye to it next time, but I can't bring myself to get rid of it yet. I love the packaging. I love that Taurus is front and center. That's me. Hi. I love the packaging. I love the colors that were chosen. I'm going to keep this for now. All right, next up, we have some of the monochromatic palettes. These, some of them I got for free and some of them I paid for. So the Main Squeeze and the It's My Pleasure I did purchase. And then the Lilac You A Lot, my friend gave me because she was decluttering one. Either that or she had an extra one. I can't remember. But I did get this one for free. And then these I paid for. So starting off with the Main Squeeze palette. This is a fun summer palette. But I've realized since that I don't wear reds. I really don't. And these kind of pull a pinky red. They're not true red on the eyes. And these shimmers are just too... I don't want to say too red, but they're kind of too red. I just don't reach for them at all. So I'm going to declutter this. The quality's not bad. I just never ever have reached for this since I bought it, and that's really sad. So I'm going to find a better home for this before it gets too old. All right, up next is It's My Pleasure. This is a gorgeous purple palette. I really do enjoy this. The shimmers in here are still stunning. I mean, come on. Ooh, are they? Well, they might have lost their shine a little bit. The purple one has still got it, but this light one, it was kind of more of a topper shade. Okay, there we go. It just needed another layer. It's still beautiful. I don't know for sure just yet. I think I'm going to declutter one of these. Let's see if I want to declutter. I don't know if I want to declutter this one or the lilac one. Ooh, this is hard. Okay, seeing them up close, I know I don't need both. But which do I declutter? Ooh, that is a beautiful, shiny shade. Okay. I honestly don't know. They are very, very, very similar to each other. Ooh, that's a pretty shade. Dang it. I don't know. I think I reach for the lilac one more than this one just because this one's more purple toned. This one's more pink and purple. But this shimmer shade I really don't love. It's just kind of there. And I don't know. I like these purple mattes better than these mattes, so I think I'm going to keep the lilac one. Ironically, that's the one I got for free. And I'm going to... No, do I want to? These are beautiful. I don't know. They look better on camera than they do on the hand, sadly. So I think I'm going to get rid of It's My Pleasure. This one's also the older one as well, so maybe it's just kind of lost its shine a little bit. So yeah, I think I'm going to declutter this one and keep the Lilac You A Lot. This one is the Misunderstood palette. I am not getting rid of this one because I am in love with it. I don't think it performs as well anymore as it did in the past, but this just holds so many memories for me. I love the Disney Villains collab. I love that aspect of it, and I used this so much. I don't know if you could really see how much I've dug into these pans of the mattes. The navy one, I didn't really reach into at all, but every other matte in the palette, I've really dug into. And then the shimmers, this green, this mongrel shade, this flotsam shade, oh my god, I have dug into them. This gold, Pain and Panic, the copper, I love these shimmers. It's a beautiful pop of color kind of palette, but still can ground it with some neutrals. Curated so beautifully. I love the shade names. I love the packaging. Obviously, the formula was really good, so I'm going to keep this one. I mean, this packaging is awesome. If you're a Disney fan, you'll probably love it. I actually didn't even buy the princess one, but the villains, absolutely beautiful. Maleficent is my girl. Love her. I also love Sleeping Beauty, or Aurora. She's my favorite princess, and Maleficent's my favorite villain, so it works out very nicely. All right, next up. I know this is not the oldest one. A lot of these were around, a similar time period, so it's kind of hard to know. But this one is the At Forest Sight Raw Beauty Christie x Colourpop collab. These are so pigmented and beautiful. The packaging is stunning. I love the colors in here. It's like a grungy, muted rainbow palette, but like earthy. It's like an earthy rainbow. I don't know how to describe it. It's stunning. There's only there's two shimmer shades and one matte with a glitter, and then all the rest are mattes. And I actually like it. I really don't find myself missing shimmers in here, which I thought I would. I just love the depth of these shades. I love the looks you can get from these. It's just, I love it, and I love Raw Beauty Christie, and I love the packaging. This is staying in my collection forever. Love you, Christy. Love this palette. Next up is the Wild Nothing palette. This one you might have forgotten about because for a long time I did too. I just don't know what to do with this palette. It's so light in tone. I love the packaging so much. It's beautiful. You would think like, oh my god, these are neutrals. I will use these every single day. But in all honesty, when you wear them on your eyes, they just kind of muddy together, and there's not a lot of intensity, and you can't get a lot of different looks out of this. You can either go peachy or kind of mauvey, and that's it. This pop of green is so light that it really doesn't translate as well. It's a beautiful shimmer shade, but it doesn't look green. It just looks like a champagne-y kind of glitter kind of shimmer shade. I really do like the formula. I just don't reach into this enough to really justify it. And I just don't think, like, it's a beautiful, beautiful formula. I just don't reach into this. So it's kind of a toss-up. Do I want to keep it for another round and see if I can get some more use out of it? Because now that it's summertime and I'm kind of into that muted look a little bit, maybe I'll get some more use out of it. And these Super Shocks, it has 2 of them in here. And those are my favorite kind of Colourpop shades. But see, this one just doesn't show up as well. The second one did, but this one, not as much. It's a little bit more muted. I'm gonna keep this one more round, I think. Maybe, just to give it a shot. But let me show you, like, these matte shades. They don't show up very differently, and they're not that pigmented. No, I have to do this. I have to declutter. I'm sorry. I changed my mind. Just seeing those mattes together, I just remembered why I don't like this palette. They're really just not that pigmented. The only one that's really pigmented is the deeper one, and it just is not enough for me to keep this palette. I have Super Shock shades, so I can get that if I want. I love the packaging, and I think that's why I wanted to keep it so badly. But sadly, it's just gonna have to go. I'm gonna declutter this one. Okay, so we're nearing the end. I have 4 more palettes for you guys. So sorry, this is probably taking forever, but just think, the next one's probably gonna be longer. I might have to separate it into 2 parts, so that's gonna be fun. But moving along with Colourpop, this is the Star Wars Mandalorian and Colourpop palette. Cutest in the galaxy. I think it was called The Child or something like that. This is such a cute palette. These greens are very unique in my collection. I just decluttered the e.l.f. Mint palette, and I think this would be a good substitute. So I'm gonna keep this one because it's just like a minty, earthy green palette with some neutrals and some greens and a gold. I love greens and golds together. This gold is so beautiful. Like, oh my god, look how beautiful and sparkly that is. It kind of reminds me of a Natasha Denona mini gold palette, just a little bit different. It's kind of like this shade, this shade, this shade, this shade, and then this one. It's kind of what the mini gold kind of was. I really enjoy it, and it has a Super Shock in here. You know how I love Super Shock. Ugh, so pretty. I'm gonna keep this one. Plus, it's Baby Yoda. Come on. I know his name is not Yoda, okay? I know it's not actually Yoda, but he's freaking adorable, and this palette is so cute. So I'm gonna keep this one, at least for a while longer, but it's actually so cute. I don't know what it is about their collabs, but for some reason I think their collabs are just even better than their normal ones in most cases. So good. All right, next up, my 2 quads from Colourpop. They just came out with more of these, and they're colorful. These are the neutral quads that they originally released. This one is in Sparkler, and it is just a deeper matte and shimmer palette. And then this one is in Cream Soda, and these are your 2 lighter mattes that are kind of pinky leaning, and then your 2 brighter shimmers. So I think together these make a beautiful neutral palette. I mean, I intended on that when I bought these. I think they're perfect for travel. They're actually really pigmented and blendable. They're pigmented and blendable. I love the choices of shimmers in here. I can really go deep and smoky, or I can go gold, or I can keep it light and summery, and I can use these for a liner, or I can make them just intense eyeshadow. So I love the versatility of these, and each palette comes with 1 hyper glittery shade, which I believe is this one in here. Oh yeah, it's this one. And this formula is one of my favorite from Colourpop. It's not their Super Shock formula. It is an actual like glittery shimmer formula. I love it. It's not a pressed glitter, but it's kind of a hybrid, and I love it. I think this gold shade is also one of the, no, maybe it's this one. I don't know. Ooh, that one's really sparkly too. So you have a really hyper glittery shade, and then you have just a regular kind of metallic-y shimmer shade, which both of them are absolutely stunning. So I love the color story of these. I love the formula, so I'm absolutely keeping them. They're very fragile. This one did break, and I had to repress it, but after repressing it, it's fine. I just easily pressed it back in, and everything's okay. But look at those. They're just so gorgeous. My camera doesn't even want to focus on it. Ugh, whatever. But these are keeps. Last but not least, I'm going to end it on my brand new Colourpop palette that just came in today. So it'd be kind of unfair if I didn't show it to you, but it's not going anywhere in my collection because I just got it. So this is the Powerpuff Girls collection. This is so cute. I love the Powerpuff Girls. I watched them all the time. I was such a big fan. I really was. But this color story is so cute. So you have Blossom's little row here, Buttercup, and Bubbles. And this one is a pressed glitter, and then this one is one of their like super glittery formulas, just like the ones in the quads, but like a little bit more glittery actually. It's beautiful. I don't think it's a pressed glitter. If it is, it's actually kind of an impressive one, but it's so stunning on the eyes and on the hand while I'm swatching it. But the blue is absolutely a pressed glitter. See the difference between these two shades? I don't know if that is a pressed glitter. I'm gonna have to check on that, but it feels different. It doesn't feel as flaky and chunky as the blue one, but they're both gorgeous. The mattes are super pigmented in here. I haven't really tried it out on my eyes yet, but I have swatched it, and they swatch beautifully. No patchiness. They're super pigmented right off the bat. I don't understand this neutral row, but I still really like the palette. That is all. I'm really enjoying it. I love this shade too. Oh my gosh, like that's gorgeous. So yeah, this is my newest one. I'm not decluttering it obviously, but I thought I would show you guys since I have it here with me. And it has a beautiful mirror and it has this cute little Powerpuff Girls. I am keeping this one. Oh, let me just go ahead and add them up and I'll be right back. All right, I think I am keeping 25 and I am decluttering 10. So that's not the best declutter ever, but I think it's pretty good compared to what, actually, wait. Keeping 26 if I include the Powerpuff Girls one, and then decluttering 10. So technically it's probably, I could have done a little bit better, but I didn't want to overwhelm myself either, because I don't usually do a big declutter like this, but maybe once a year. This is my first time actually doing that, so I think it's a good start. I'm pretty happy with what I've kept, so I think I'm gonna get a lot of use out of them. And if I don't touch them, then next time the declutter comes around, they will be up next. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I won't keep you for too much longer, but thank you so much for watching, and please hit the like button, hit subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I do try to post as often as I can. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you stay happy, safe, and healthy out there in this crazy world, and I hope you continue to watch some more of my videos. That would be wonderful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!